at least 3 conscious healing breaths into those divine ideas that we are sacred love, we are sacred peace, we are sacred wisdom, we are the sacred creation of the all that is. We take a deep breath into this awareness that even on our bad days, we are sacred love. Even on our days of being confused, we are sacred love. Even on our days where we feel sadness, depression, or grief, we are sacred love, sacred peace, sacred awareness. That the light of the all that is enlightens every cell and atom of our being. We breathe into this idea. Knowing that the light that was present at the creation of this galaxy is also present in every cell and atom of our being. We've come from a long, long way to be here in this place at this time as the evolution of our species is unfolding. The evolution of our consciousness continually unfolding. The great mystery unfolds through us and as us. Everybody sing that with Stella. Yay, yay. The divine and holy and sacred universe is unfolding through us and as us. Yay, yay. We say so it is, so let it be. Just simply let it be. Let it be true in us, deepening us, carrying us forward. Through the times that we fall and we think we cannot get up again, we never give up. We fall in our thoughts and our actions and our words, we fall and we get back up. We start again. We practice again. We say yay for the ability to start again. We give thanks for the awareness that awakens us in our dreams, in our insights, in our waking moments, in our aha moments, when we look into one another's eyes and we remember. When someone says a word, a phrase, a scripture, a poem, a song, we remember. Someone sends us a message, a letter on Facebook, and a text, a message that helps us to remember. A grandchild who says words to you that are baffling and filled with awe, all at the same time. We pause. We remember. We give thanks for all of the ways we are deepened and awakened by one another, by our world. Every moment, every event is meant for our awakening. As we go into a few moments of silence, I invite us to continue to take our easy, deep breaths and let ourselves be known to ourselves as the sacred love, sacred peace, Into this silence, we speak the names as a whisper or out loud, the names or events that we're holding in prayer, holding in our blessing. Susan Bowles and her family, all those who've written in for prayer. Children, grandchildren, children in our communities, children of the world, and children who are now grown into adult bodies, acting as leaders of the world. We hold them in our consciousness of prayer. Our species is waking up. We continue to bless our entire world, all life, four-leggeds, the winged ones, the two-leggeds, all those living in the waters, the rivers, the oceans, the minerals, the mountains, the air. We bless all life. And we bless ourselves lovingly, even adoringly, as we continue to wake up. And once again we say, so it is, and so we let it be. I invite you to touch your own heart now and say, I let it be. Namaste. Oh, everybody say, yay, yay. Stella, thank you for that reminder. I was working on a flyer last week for a new series we're going to do here in the summertime entitled Making a Way Through. And it's taken from that scripture from Psalms. It's pretty well known, Psalms 23. Yea! Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. I think the yea part is yea, though I walk through. Yay! Everybody say yay! Yay! We walk through the valley of the shadow. Yay! That is our new spiritual word for the day. So as we're walking through, as we're making our way through, we start doing an assessment of what works to help us get through. We all need to have a go-to list of what helps us make it through. And it's good to do that assessment of our talents, our strengths, our gifts, our community, our spiritual practice to help us make a way through. Because I don't know about you, but when I've been in those places, I sometimes forget that I'm going through. I think this must be the new map. And now I need to learn the territory of this. And in fact, there's lots of gold to be mined there. It is, however, a place we make our way through. So today's title is taken from the Divine Audacity book, but it's actually also taken from a quote by Eric Butterworth. He said it's not about making the world right, it's about seeing the world rightly. So that's what we're talking about today. So it reminds me of a story. Several years ago, we were in Monterey, California, at the Unity there, and we used to do a workshop entitled Shifting into Miracle Thinking. And we had t-shirts at our workshops that said, Shift Happens. Shift happens. This is what, 20 years ago? So we were staying with the ministers at Monterey Unity, and we had that bumper sticker also on our car. And in the early morning, a knock comes on their door. Let's see if I can do the sound effects. Knock comes on the door, and it was their neighbor. And she was very upset. She said, Reverend Rory Elder and Reverend Vicky Elder, I cannot believe you've got a car parked in your parking lot that says, well, come out here and let me tell you let me show you what your house guests have on their car. So they marched outside and she said, right there, you see what that says? I can't believe you would have that. It says shift happens. And he said, yes, that's how quickly it happens. We think we're seeing one thing, and then it turns out we're seeing something else. How many of us have done that? How many of us have seen one thing, and it turns out to be a mighty and wonderful shift for the good, a shift to take us into our deepening, our awakening. So that's what we're talking about today. Pema Chodron, the book we're doing in our book group every Wednesday, she said the future is completely open and we are writing it moment to moment. Some of us think the future is completely set. Or, I've heard a few times of late, if that guy gets in there, this is going to happen. I won't fill in any more blanks. If this person does that, then that's going to happen. It has nothing to do with that. So, this veteran was told he wasn't going to walk again, and we know that story now. We're not going to show that video now at this point. But that is one example, one story of millions of stories where people were told, groups were told, you can't do this thing of awakening, of deepening. Can't be done, and yet it's been done. Our species is so innovative, so bright, so wonderful, so brilliant. When we think we're stuck and we're not going to get out of this, and this is the worst it's ever looked, and it's never going to be better again, we need to pause and think about all the stories in our wonderful world that's told us something was impossible and yet it was. And in our own lives, and in these children's lives, we need to be careful what we're saying to each other and what's possible in the world. So this book, let's see, where are we? We're back at the headstand. Okay, Joe Dispenza, You Are the Placebo. We're going to be doing this book starting July, August, and September. Y'all all know about the placebo, right? Yeah. So, you know, when your doctor prescribes an antibiotic and you believe in the power of that antibiotic to heal you, it usually happens that way. And we also know that many of us can be given a sugar pill and told, this is going to make you better, and we do get better. Herb Benson years ago at a Harvard conference I went to, he said for decades we have discounted the power of the placebo. We have told people it's only a remission, it's only a placebo. He leaned across that podium and he said, my God, what have we done? We've discounted the power of the human mind. We've discounted the power of our beliefs. So, this book proposes that you and I are the placebo. And it's basic New Thought teaching with every word, every thought, every feeling, every belief. We are unfolding our future. Basic New Thought. This book backs it up with lots of scientific research. But Joe Dispenza, who broke his back running a marathon, he was hit by a car. Running a marathon, he was told, what? You will never walk again. He's not only walking, running, jumping, playing, he's out writing books and telling people, you are the placebo, you've got it all in you. Who else said that? Who else said, the kingdom of creation is within you? It's been said forever. Okay. He says, I believe that there's an intelligence, an invisible consciousness within each of us that is the giver of life. Jesus called it the river of life. Joe Dispenza says, I believe that there's an intelligence in us. It supports, maintains, protects, and heals us every moment. It creates almost 100 trillion specialized cells, starting from only 2. You started from 2 cells. Look at you now. It keeps our hearts beating hundreds of thousands of times a day, and it can organize hundreds of thousands of chemical reactions in a single cell in every second, among many other amazing functions, he says. That's the rest of the book. When you have a day thinking you're not all that remarkable, I want you to think about those 100 trillion cells that got together and decided that you are remarkable. That decided you are the light of the world. You and I, we start talking ourselves into thinking that we're less than. And so the word from Spirit this morning is don't do that. So within us, at the core of us, is a set point for interpreting life's people and events in the direction of good. This is what Eric Butterworth taught, that we may have been convinced that the first place we need to go about an event or an idea is to the negative. We may have been convinced CNN likes for us to just look at what's going wrong. But there is within us, many of us feel, a set point to direct us in the direction of good. That is more natural to us than going in the direction of the negative. That the natural state of us is to look for what's working. We've turned it upside down in our culture to look for what's not working. We turned everything upside down. Paula said everything's backwards. So again, Butterworth says, and we want to ponder this, we are not in the world to set it right, we're in the world to see it rightly. So, it's a practice. This is basic unity teaching, basic new thought teaching. Rather than look in the direction of the negative and what's not working, appreciate what is working. There's a term for it. It's a very tricky term. It's called appreciative inquiry. Just start asking some questions. What's the good in this picture? What's the good that's going to come out of this picture? What are the things in this picture that are working, that are connecting, that are making a way for our evolution? That's a spiritual practice, and you don't have to connect it with any particular faith. Simply look for what's working, rather than spending so much of our focus on what is not working. Does that sound like a good idea? Yes. Oh, good. Okay, so some of us are going to say it's too deep. Some of us are going to say, no, it's not. I love it when I'm too chilly in the house and I say, gosh, I'm too cold, and David says, no, you're not. You have to think this through. So sometimes we're going to be standing in the same place at the same time, having the same event happen, and one of us is going to say, we're never going to get out of here, it's too deep, and the other one's going to say, I think we can get out of here. I think we're okay here. I propose, just for us to think about this and ponder this idea, perhaps we are the ones, we are among the ones who have been called at this time to say, we can get out of here. We can make our way through this. We can make our way through. Everybody say we can make our way through. We can make our way through. So a lot of you have heard David's story. It's another story about being told, it's never going to get better again. But just to quickly retell, he received a diagnosis of trigeminal neuralgia, pain shooting from the top of his head all the way down through his face. Took him to his knees. It was so painful. Went to the neurologist, and the neurologist told him, it's not going to get better, said it's going to get worse, and as a matter of fact, we call this the suicide disease because people kill themselves with it. This is a neurologist. Said this to him. And what David said to the neurologist was, everybody, you're fired. David stood up and pointed right at you are fired, you are not my doctor. And then he took the next step. He declared to universe. We all will declare to universe in our many, many different ways. His way, driving down the highway, and an episode happened. He couldn't see. He had to pull over. He said, God, if there's any way to stop this pain, tell me what it is. We give ourselves over to the universe. I've been told there's not a way to make it through this. Tell me if there is a way. Just tell me. Tell me what it is. And this is so funny, you think it's not true, but it is. An advertisement came on the radio in that moment for a treatment, a laser treatment called Curelaze. Named all the conditions that Curelaze helps, and the very last one was trigeminal neuralgia. He literally dialed the number, and the doctor answered the phone. The rest is history. I know, that part. And the rest is history. No more trigeminal neuralgia. Now take a deep breath. How many of you have been told something is impossible, it can't be done, it's never going to happen? We need to breathe into this awareness that some authority, some voice has said to you, a way cannot be made through this, but we're here to remind each other a way can be made through.
We wouldn't have the situation if the way was not already there. The situation would not be if a way was not already available for it to be solved.
So you're saying the solution is in the problem, right? That sounds great. Everybody remember that. Already in the picture is the healing solution. So the healing principle, Ernest Holmes described, the healing principle intensely wishes to express itself. All it needs is to receive that directive word, and it rushes in to obey. Let there be healing. Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind. I love this when he said, this principle, this healing energy, Jesus called it the river of life, it intensely wishes to express itself. It's like having a whole reservoir of water, but it can't get down to the dry, parched valley because there has to be a lock that's open so the water can go in. Who's in charge of opening the lock? Yeah. All it needs is to receive that directive word, and it, the really big it, rushes in to obey. Let there be healing. Now we can apply this to our bodies, our minds, our emotions, our relationships, our community, our world events, our political system, our economic system, our educational system, our medical system. We can apply this principle anywhere. But I have noticed among my human species, of which I am one, that we have practiced a lot going to the negative and looking at what doesn't work. We have practiced it so well. We're actually very proficient. Some of us even think that's the only perspective. So we're pondering and practicing looking at the world in a different way. So what is possible when we focus on opportunities rather than problems, strengths more than weaknesses, and what can be done instead of what cannot be done? Just what if? What if that was our practice enough that we became proficient at this rather than proficient at talking about how bad it all is? What if we became proficient at seeing opportunities rather than problems? What if we looked at our strengths more than our weaknesses? What if we looked at what can be done instead of what can't? That I love that yoga teacher in the YouTube who was willing to even talk to this guy, who was willing to even sit down with him and say, you know what? We can make a way through this. Let's work on this together. He had been turned down by other yoga instructors. Albert Einstein said, I am enough of an artist to draw freely upon my imagination. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. Imagination encircles the world. And you and I both know that we can scare ourselves to death with our imagination. And if we want to continue that way, we'll be loved right through that too.
what unity is suggesting, what New Thought's suggesting, what the great faiths of the world throughout time have suggested. That if I can scare myself to death with my imagination, then perhaps I can also use that same imagination to lift myself into life. If that's available, why not? Always is. How many of you have on occasion had a bad dream at night? How many of you have had a really great dream? That one feels better, doesn't it? Okay. So practice this. You have a bad dream at night. I mean, heart pounding, you wake up, you're still feeling that fear like it's true. Take a deep breath and imagine the exact opposite of the bad dream. Imagine a good version of the dream, a dream that leaves you feeling faith-filled and uplifted and energized. You see, you have that capacity to take what feels like a bad dream and imagine something the exact opposite. You and I have the capability to imagine right now our country and the world living in a way where the world is working for all life. We have that capacity. If we're not careful, we keep imagining the things we don't want to keep occurring. Paul says, not good. How many of us feel we have the capacity to imagine a world of wholeness and healing and peace? Now, keep your hand up. How many of you are practicing that? Yay! Everybody say yay. Stella, say yay. We're practicing. Okay, so it's not the load that breaks you down, it's the way you carry it. How many of us feel like we have on occasion had, a load of emotional stuff to carry or things to figure out? We feel like we have carried away. I thought I was alone in this. Do you think this is true, that the way we carry it makes the difference?
Loosen your grip. What's the Bob Simon line? Loosen the grip and lighten your load.
Loosen the grip and lighten the load. So it seems in life, in the human journey, we are going to have the load to carry. From time to time, we are going to have the issues to deal with. We're going to have the relationship stuff to work out. We're going to have the economic stuff or the health stuff to work out. It's not that it's in our lives, the point is, how are we carrying it in our lives? Jesus said something interesting. He said, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. The word yoke, yoga, work. My work is easy. What I'm carrying is light. When you and I are carrying emotional loads or misunderstanding loads or things that we need to step up to and figure out, we need to remember that what we're really carrying is light. Light of understanding, light of peace, light of wisdom, light of forgiveness, light of creativity. That's what we're carrying. But we convince ourselves that we're carrying the weight of the world. Don't we? What we're carrying is light. Lena Horne said that, by the way, for all of you who remember Lena Horne.
My mother grew up across the street from Lena Horne.
Really? Who said that?
Jerry.
Oh, hey Jerry, I didn't see you back there.
I'm hiding.
Hey there. So Albert Schweitzer said this, in everyone's life at some time our inner fire goes out. Anybody ever been there?
Yeah.
It is then burst into flame by an encounter with another human being. Sometimes non-human beings, but it's burst into flame by encounters with other human beings. We should all be thankful for those people who rekindle the human spirit. Yeah. And for me, this is raising our spiritual IQ, our collective spiritual IQ, to imagine how important you and I are to one another. Imagine how important you and I are in the words we speak to these children up here, or the words we speak to one another. You may be the encounter that someone has today right here in this room. You may be the encounter that rekindles the spirit of someone else. Some of us from time to time talk ourselves out of realizing how powerfully important we are as being the light of the world to one another. You might rekindle the spirit of the person you go and buy gas from today or buy groceries from. You might be the one to have that holy encounter and rekindle the spirit of somebody right here in this room or at the restaurant. Do you know how important your presence is? Do you and I know? Sometimes we forget. Is that true? Paul says, sometimes we forget.
I never forget how important I am.
Y'all see Bonnie after service. So we're raising our spiritual collective IQ. That's what we're doing. We're getting smarter about who we are. So what's next? When we're in a place where we're surrounded by lots of beliefs and ideas, and you know, we notice sometimes that the ideas we're carrying around, it gets kind of full in there. You know, the word overload comes to mind. We get overloaded with the ideas, the beliefs, the interpretations of stories. So what's next? We leap to a higher consciousness. We leap to another place where we remember who we are. It's important when we're walking through the valley of the shadow, it's important to ask this question. What's next? Where do I place my foot next? Which direction do I lean in next? You know, in yoga, they're constantly telling us, especially to my back corner where I am, wobbling is good. You find your balance in the wobbling. So to ask, when we're walking through the valley, what's next? To remind ourselves that there is a next. And in the world, when it looks like things are going so wacky, we can ask this question in a negative way or a way of wholeness. We can ask it in this way, oh, what's next? Or, what's next? What is next for the human family? What's next for our species? What's next in the unfolding of our consciousness? Two different ways to ask this. Just like when you get up in the morning and you say things like, oh, God. Or you say, oh, God. What are you up to today? I'd like to be a part of it. So what's next? How do we ask that question? Are we asking it expecting more of the same old negative patterns? Or are we asking in terms of leaping from an old belief system to a new awareness? So next Sunday, Nikki Golden, y'all know how much I love her, how much I respect and honor her. If I were not going to be with David in New Mexico, I would be here next Sunday. We're going to be doing another workshop next Sunday at Santa Fe Unity. This is an important workshop. I hope y'all will pray about being here, because as far as I can tell, what it gets whittled down to at the end of the day is how we're communicating with ourselves, with the one presence within, and with each other.
Amen.
So this is an opportunity. And it's an opportunity that I had to go all the way to Hawaii for a few years ago and take it there. She's now come here to our neighborhood. So let's take a deep breath. The way we see the world, making it right or seeing it rightly. The way we talk about the world in terms of what's not working or in terms of what is working. The way we ask what's next in terms of what's next in our divine and holy journey and evolution. We ask the questions that unfold our world in the way we want. We look at our world as unfolding in the way that we see that it works for all. And we make a decision. It is possible to see the world rightly and know what is ours to do to help that unfold. It is possible.
So we never get up, and if we totter and wobble and fall, we get up and begin again. Like our yoga vet at the beginning of the service. He said simply, never give up. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep on making a way through. Namaste.